Welcome to the Parenting in the Digital Age podcast. Many parents are concerned that their child might be falling behind. Others are just looking for ways to help their children thrive, not just in the classroom, but socially and well into their future careers. Each episode, we explore the challenges facing parents in the modern world, from behavior, education, and nutrition to device and gaming addiction. We interview a range of leaders in the area of childhood development to help you successfully navigate parenting in the digital age. Here is your host, Jamie Buttigieg.
Hello parents, and welcome to Parenting in the Digital Age, where we explore the challenges and opportunities of raising kids in a world filled with technology. And today I'm joined by Abigail Mader. Now, Abigail's originally from England. She moved here to Australia at around 20 years of age. She's always had a love for children and has been working in the early childhood sector for over 15 years. Abigail is a wife and also a mother to a 10-year-old boy. Abigail is extremely passionate about teaching and combining that with her love of reading. She's currently completing her teaching degree and works at a daycare centre. Her expertise lies in child development and understanding children. Now, Abigail believes that to help children, it all starts with parents. They are their first teachers, and her two goals are to encourage reading in the early years and to help parents in their early years stage. We're excited to have Abigail on the show today and to share her insights and experience with us. But before we begin, Abigail, welcome to the show. Please share with our listeners a bit about who you are, what you do in your own words, and what you are passionate about.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be on the show.
Thank you.
So I'm Abigail, work in the early years. I've worked there for, over 15 years. I've always been wanted to be a teacher, and I love the younger ages, so I was always drawn to that and found my way into childcare and loved it and never left. I also very passionate. I love to read, love books, and that's one thing I love to share with the kids is story time. They love books as much as I do, thankfully, and for those of you obviously have kids will know that, they have a favourite and they'll read the same one over and over again, and it's great. I love just to watch the joy and the excitement in their faces when we read together.
It's true, isn't it? I've got a granddaughter. She's 1.5 years old, and she walks in the door. She walks straight to the book. Well, it's a toy box, and she pulls out the Brown Bear book, and she walks around the house with this particular book, and we have to read it to her, and she loves it. Actually, she's got a couple of favourites. But and you've we were talking just before the show. You've written a book recently, is that right? Yeah. I've
wrote a little book, In the Deep Blue Sea. So it's about finding a mermaid. But being that we're on the coast, it's lovely because you're sort of teaching the kids as well. So each page has another sea creature. So we have a bit of a discussion, have you found this one before at the beach? And we talk about where they've found it, what they've seen, and also, if they're safe or not, being that we're on the coast. So, would we touch a jellyfish? Would we touch a starfish? That kind of discussion. So it's nice because it's a bit of learning as well. But it's fun because they love mermaids and they love to find a mermaid at the end.
Absolutely. Okay, that's great. And what age would that book be pitched at?
Sort of 0 to 6, birth to 6 years.
Yeah, okay, interesting. And so I suppose the obvious question to start our conversation about kids and reading, what are some of the benefits of reading to kids in their early years? And perhaps how can parents incorporate reading into their daily routines?
Yeah, so I think the biggest, obviously, it develops language and it helps them with their speech as well. It learns them how to connect, how to put words together and develop sentences. But I think the biggest thing is the connections with the parents, because it's starting those early bonds, and they start to associate reading with positivity. Like, it's fun, it's engaging, and they get to be with the person they care about. So once it's that connection, I think that follows through because they feel that love of reading from reading with mum and dad or whoever. And it just instills that love of reading. For parents, I think just making it fun as well. Don't just read the book, make the funny voices and ask them questions and, let them try and read. When they're little, it's good having sort of repetitive words in books because they pick it up and the kids learn to read with you that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important, and you mentioned fostering that love for reading, but it also fosters a wider love of learning. And
Yeah.
what you talked about earlier was interesting about the books with mermaids, and it encourages other questions about other subjects, whether that's biology or ocean life or marine life or mathematics. It doesn't really matter, but just the act of reading a book to your child or grandchild, as I now have, is it encourages, I think, a wider love of learning, which is so vital in today's digital age.
Yeah, it's so organic. It doesn't feel like they're being taught. It's just a natural occurrence. So they enjoy it more and take more in, because it's not like forced on them, like you will learn this. It's just a natural learning curve.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's definitely a great point, Abigail. And so the next question that sort of leads me to is, we're talking about the digital age. Children are increasingly exposed to screens and technology. You only have to go to a shopping centre to see kids in prams with tablets, and breaks my heart a little bit. But what are some of the ways that parents can create a reading-friendly environment, perhaps? Like, how can they encourage their children to maybe choose books over the digital alternative?
Yeah, it's a hard thing I see a lot at work as well. We do incorporate technology as well to a degree, but it's that line of, like you said, especially for the younger years, it's too much for their brains. But for parents, particularly at home, it's more you and your enthusiasm as well. They'll follow you and create. It's nice to have that little corner that you call the book nook and make it fun. What can we read today, and make it exciting. I know people's budgets aren't always great these days, but just the way it's set up as well, make it inviting. Put in the teddies, the little roof decorations. Make it that special time as well. Your bonding time. Make sure you're there, because they'll follow you as they follow the adults. Really, what you're interested in as well at that age, they'll do, because they like to be with you, really. So I find that as well. At work I do the whole let's read a book, and they know where they are. They go straight to them because they know what it is. It's that bonding time. It's just the connections, I think.
Yeah. Look, it's an interesting thing there, because kids will model what we do, right? And if we're constantly on our devices and head down at the dinner table and whatever, they're going to think that's normal, and therefore that they will migrate to those perhaps tablet devices as their source of entertainment or learning. Or distraction, I suppose. But I think you just make a simple but elegant point there. An important point is just parents, we need to get excited about reading. When a kid picks up a book, we need to get excited by that and sit down with them and engage with them and ask questions and read to them at such an early age. And you're right, although books cost money, it doesn't have to be expensive. Every community still has a library where you can go and borrow books, which is almost an old-fashioned notion, but still important. It is. And, down at some of our local shopping centres and even in communities, you walk past these little book exchanges, and they're free, and you just put one book in and take one book out.
Ones where just a little nook, you swap a book out. It's amazing. Yeah,
and kids love it. Like, it can be a walk to the book exchange, and they can say, which one have you read to death, or which is your least favourite? Let's go and find one and exchange. It could be it's like a half-day activity, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Just earlier I asked about the age that your book was written towards, and I think some parents, this is the challenge that I'm faced with. I'll go to the bookstore to buy something for my granddaughter or a gift for another child or my nephews and nieces. And the question I'm sort of coming to here is that some parents may find it challenging to find age-appropriate books.
Yeah.
Or perhaps feel unsure how to select books that may match their child's interests and or reading level. So, I don't know, what are some resources or strategies that you recommend for parents to find engaging and appropriate books for their kids?
Yeah, I say trial and error, really. Every child's different, but the key thing I find is all kids love pictures in the book. So regardless of the level of text, because pictures help them create their own version of the story anyway. They see the pictures and they bring the story to life that way. So in the early years, it's, less text, more pictures, really. And then you'll see yourself how they're developing with their reading, and you'll learn yourself from watching them read to what level you think they need. But I always say start with less text, more pictures.
Yeah.
Then they make that connection to the words, to the pictures as well, and that all helps with their brain and their wiring and figuring out how storytelling's told, really, because they're making the connections.
Yeah, definitely important. Would you recommend, like, you're in childcare, asking your child's teacher, what are they reading, or what are they, or what did you read in school today? Were they engaged by it? Can I buy that book, or whatever? Like, I don't know. Are there other ways that we can maybe tap into that?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, definitely the teachers, and also just looking in general at their interests, like at the, what shows are they into on the telly? What's their favourite characters? What are they interested in their toys? And follow those interests. So, if they're always with the trucks, or they're always with the dolls, or they're always with the blocks, make those connections with the books and find stories around that. And
yeah.
Backs their imagination, and if it's what they're interested in, they're going to read more about it.
Yeah, most definitely. Good points, Abigail. So, almost taking a step back for a sec, what was it that drew you to childcare originally? Because it's quite a tough space, and it's a demanding space, both mentally and physically. And I think certainly our teachers and childcare educators need to be paid way more than they currently do.
Yeah.
So what is it that drew you to that space in the first place?
Yeah, I'm just very passionate about the early years. Like I said, it's sadly a very paid industry, so many of the people working in there, they're there because they love the job. They love children, and it's where it all begins. So the first 5 years are the most important. It's where they're learning to be who they are. And I just love working with children and seeing them go from being babies and growing, and you watch the changes in them, and you watch them learn and develop in all the ways. And yeah, it's what drew me to the younger age, definitely, is just watching them learn and become little people. It's amazing to watch them.
Yeah, definitely. And is there anything interesting or special that you're currently working on at the minute?
So at the moment, I'm working on a little project called Parents First, because I've found that, working with kids, it only takes you so far. Parents are the first teacher. And, there's there's so much information, as you're probably aware of. There's different people tell you different things of how kids are meant to be taught and raised. And it can be a minefield for parents, and they don't know what to do themselves. So Parents First is being created to help parents in the beginning, help them understand child development a little bit and learn about how to help their kids in the future and how to help themselves as well. As parents, you lose your way a bit and you forget who you are as well. And it is a struggle as a new parent. So the aim is also to, help parents find time for themselves and remember they're important too, and just help them navigate the minefield of parenthood really in the beginning.
Yeah, it's a worthy pursuit. And is this would this be a course, a book? What format will this take? And maybe when do you hope to release this?
Hopefully in the next few months. It's an ongoing project, but I'm hoping to have a workbook and definitely with my local community be able to meet more in person, but I'm hoping to do it online a bit more, like on Zoom, and really get to know parents and what they're struggling with and actually work with them more one-on-one and help them navigate.
Yeah, that's a great format.
Yeah.
Great format, and it gets you close to understanding and finding some of those unique challenges as the world evolves. But I think no matter how the world evolves, the parental challenges I think tend to remain fairly constant.
Yes.
Well, an interesting, just a fun question to get off track a little bit, and a question we like to ask all of our guests. If you had an imaginary time machine and you could travel back in time to your 10-year-old self, what is one piece of advice? And I suspect I know what this is going to be already, but what's one piece of advice that you would give your 10-year-old self?
To be yourself, yeah. I myself know over the years, you too often try to please everyone else and you lose yourself on the way. And I think with kids these days as well, there's a lot of pressure to be someone they're not. So yeah, I see it with the kids at work all the time. Like, they're so open at that age, and they're just who they are. They don't know how to be anything else. So yeah, I always encourage them, be yourself and just be who you are. I think that's something I would go back and tell myself just to remember as you get older. Yeah, just be who you are.
Yeah, if only there were a way to teach kids that at such an early age, because it's not till we get a little older in life that we start to realise that's actually an important thing. But yeah, it'd be a wonderful and unique skill to teach with our kids, and a great piece of advice. So if parents want to get in touch with you, where can we get in contact with you? And, particularly those interested in keeping up to date with Parents First.
Yeah, so I'm on both Facebook and Instagram, and it's under Abigail Mader Author. So yeah, you can look me up on there, and I'm on both platforms.
Super. I'll stick those in the show notes so people can reach out. And lastly, before we conclude, is there anything that I perhaps should have asked, or any piece of information you want to share with parents that I didn't get to or didn't ask?
So I suppose one piece of advice for parents is something that I always try and tell parents, is that whole work with the child, not against them. I find a lot of parents forget children's minds work differently to them, and they get stuck in the you need to do this, but children don't understand. So I always try and follow that principle myself and encourage parents to do the same and try and talk things through. I think parents sometimes forget, and adults in general forget that children think differently and they learn differently. So we've got to talk to them about why we do things, and then when they understand, 9 times out of 10 children go, oh, okay, and they'll work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Abigail, I appreciate your time and generosity today. Certainly there were some great actionable, simple and usable tips that parents can take away and use immediately, and I hope this discussion inspires parents to take a deeper love of reading and nurturing their kids in their early years. Thanks for being with us today, and I hope we cross paths again down the track.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
If you enjoyed the show, please connect with Jamie on LinkedIn or Instagram. You'll find links in the podcast description. Parenting in the Digital Age is sponsored by Skill Samurai, Coding and STEM Academy for Kids. Skill Samurai offers after-school coding classes and holiday programs to help kids thrive academically and socially while preparing them for the careers of the future. Visit skillsamurai.com.au.